endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive,
Okay, thank you so much for joining us here today on Nomads 50 Plus. My name's Chris Kalabukas, and I'm the CEO of, what am I the CEO of? I haven't decided what I'm the CEO of yet. You're the CEO of fun, so I gotta pick something too. I'll gotta think about it. And coming at you from live from Silicon Valley, California.
And this is Mary Bartnikowski back in the United States from Silicon Valley
What?
also.
What?
Yay. Yep, it happened.
Yay or nay? It's like,
I am in culture shock, but I can help you live an independent, location independent lifestyle as I am the CEO of Fun, having just come from Sicily after a 3-month trip there.
wow. I'm so envious. Although I will be in Greece, not next week, but the week after that. So
And can't you stay there 3 months if you could?
I
If
can stay as long as I want. It's
there you
it's,
go.
it's my wife who's got to go back.
Oh, okay.
But we're working on that. We're working on that. So we're both over 50, let's say, right? But I find
Yes, we certainly are north.
just on the edge of
I'm
over
pretty
50.
far north of
Pretty
that.
well, no one needs to know, right? We're on the edge, just slightly over 50, and it's for some reason, I don't know, is it the human condition? It's like when we hit certain numbers, it's like we feel like, oh, we can't do that anymore, or we don't feel like, oh, that time's gone by, it's too late for me, right? I remember a guy once who I used to work for, and this guy was a really interesting character. And I remember telling him, I said, you should go to Greece. Greece is really cool. He goes, well, I think it's passé now.
Oh,
I wanted to go before they joined the EU, but now that they joined the EU, it's done. It's over. I'm not going. I'm like, seriously?
well, you brought up a good topic because here's the thing. I think, especially in this ageist culture of the United States,
Especially
because I
here in the
did
Bay Area, where I think if you're over 30, that's it. You're done.
it, I've never ascribed to that.
Mm,
So to be over in Europe for that amount of time and not ever be asked what my age is. I mean, I volunteered a lot, but I just feel like people don't care as much about age
mm.
or attach as much value to where you're supposed to be at each age because I was meeting people of all ages. And so coming back here, I think it's this ageist thing that we've been brainwashed into believing that, here's what I hear a lot. People saying,
Okay.
oh, I traveled to Paris when I was in my 20s. It's like, you can still do it in your 50s and you could probably have more fun. But I hear that over and over again. And I'm kind of surprised by it because why would you? I mean, I've heard it so often that I did these travels, 40 years ago, but now that's done
Yeah.
at my age. It's like you probably could do it at a much better level at your age
Yeah. I mean,
than you did it and
as
when
long
you
as
stayed
you're,
in hostels.
I mean, there's obviously sort of physical issues. There's some people who can't
Sure.
walk as far or walk upstairs or whatever. So
Yeah,
there's physical things that
sure.
happen. But as long as you're kind of hale and hearty and all that stuff, I mean, what are the differences are? And I think you're right about it being better because you've got that whole life experience to tap into while you're going to these places.
Because I don't think of it the same way as I did when I started 19 years ago. I think of it in a slower kind of enjoy the moment and talk to a local person and see what happens from that interaction rather than, because here's the thing. I was just in Paris and I stayed in a completely different neighborhood that was more local.
Hmm.
I had such a better experience. I didn't even take the metro. I didn't go to any big landmark thing. I just did more local kind of things in my neighborhood and I had a fantastic time.
Nice.
And I feel like Hmm. This is interesting. I think if you view it as, oh, if you're traveling and you got to do everything you possibly can in a short amount of time, well, that kind of viewpoint, maybe it isn't the best way to travel, and it could be too much for you, because I know it's too much for me.
Mm,
I don't even want to travel like that. It's like, no way. Like, I don't want to do like a whole full day of seeing everything and then the next day do it and the next day and the next day. Like,
yeah.
that to me isn't.
But it's kind of all about time though, right? So when you're younger, I mean, when you were younger, when you were in your 20s or whatever, and you were traveling, um, you may have had this drive to get as much done as you can so you could get back to living life, right? Whereas here it's a little bit more, and especially if you're a digital nomad, because you're melding your work and your life at the same time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, kowtow to anybody else. Oh, it's like I got my 2 weeks vacation and then I gotta go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where people are a lot stuck in the vacation mode because they think, oh, they're in vacation mode. And vacation mode is this tiny little compressed period of time where you barely, by the time you get there, you have enough time to decompress and then you have to leave.
And then you have to leave,
Yeah.
which is
So
so disappointing
yes. But if you're
because,
older and you have the time, you have the ability to disconnect, you don't have that compressed time frame, then it's way different. It's very different.
and I don't think that's what a lot of people realize, that
Mm.
because you are older and you have a different viewpoint, that you don't have to do it how you thought you had to do it when you were younger.
What do you think is stopping people from doing things like that? Other than, I mean, it sounds like a blanket statement, but what are the underlying reasons behind that?
I think it's fear, discomfort, what people will say. Because
Mm.
I'm still getting, like, when I first started solo traveling to international, different continents, I didn't know any other woman doing it at any age. Now there's a lot more people.
You're a vanguard.
A what?
You're a vanguard. You were like one of the first people out there
Yeah.
doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now that there's more, I was thinking it would kind of ease up on people being shocked about it, but I'm still getting people going, how do you, where did you get the gumption to do it? And so to
Gumption. I love
me,
that word.
isn't that a great word? I love
That's a
that word
great word.
too. To me, I feel like it's not that you get the gumption, you go through your fear. Like, you have a desire to do something, and it's like anything. Maybe you're afraid to do public speaking or start a business, whatever. But if you start to do it because you have this desire, you're going to find that you're going to get through your fear. And I really think it's fear in the stereotypes of, oh, you travel when you're younger, or there's just too many bad things that could happen when you're older. I mean, I just don't think about any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And usually when you're older, you actually have more financial cushion. So if something were to happen, you could deal with it.
Right. When I think about how I used to travel with nothing in my pocket, hitchhiking in the 70s, like, I would
Oh man, that must
never,
have been fun. Do you have any
it,
pictures? We'll share.
yeah, I'd have to go back into the archive
Back when
because
you had
I'm
a
not,
Polaroids and
no, not poor.
35
I had an
millimeter film.
Instamatic.
Oh, I remember those. Those are
Yeah,
great.
they took pretty good
The flat
pictures.
kind with the little thing that
The,
turns at the
the
top.
little flash cube on top.
Yeah, the flash cube.
Not bad pictures, I gotta say. So I'd have to, and in fact, I gotta go back up to my storage and dig around in there, because that's mainly what my storage is, my archive of the last
Non-digital stuff.
60 non-digital stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
So,
yeah. So what's changed, right? The places that you're going to haven't really changed that much, or I guess they have changed, but is it just, I mean, like, so it's fear, and fear that's been built up over time, or
discomfort.
it's discomfort, and discomfort as in, oh, I like my bed, I like my couch, I like my home, everything is so comfy
Yeah.
that I don't really want to.
Well, and the reason I say that is because I went through that too, of the discomfort, because when I did that first trip to Nepal to see my son, I was leaving my totally comfortable apartment in downtown Palo Alto that, had every pillow and carpet, and it was just
See,
perfection.
you are ahead of your time because everybody's into comfy now. You were into comfy, now you're not.
Yeah, and now I'm not. And
Now
so
everybody else is into comfy.
I was just shocked at how much fun I could have for so little money and not be comfortable. So, like, we would take these local buses through Nepal in the
Mhm.
cold. This was winter.
Oh my God, you were in Nepal in the wintertime?
Yeah.
Yikes.
And so, but he knew what to do and what buses to take and stuff. But we were taking local buses. And at the time, there was some kind of military thing going on. So once in a while, a bunch of military guys would get on the bus and look at everybody and then get off. They had
Didn't that freak you out
rifles.
though?
It did me, but he wasn't concerned at all.
Oh wow.
So he was just like, he had been living there for
Normal.
several months. So what did he say? Oh, because there were protests and stuff. And he said, well, I think he said they're looking for something about police, not normal tourists. And I'm like, oh, that's comforting. I
Well, you're a
didn't.
normal tourist, so no, I mean, I totally understand because in Greece there's a square, Syntagma
Okay.
Square, which is right in front of the Parliament buildings, and each and every single day there's multiple protests in that
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
and it's like you're at the Britannia, like one of the top hotels in the city, is right on the square.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you go to the top, if you go to the bar at the top of the hotel, it's a beautiful bar and it overlooks the Acropolis.
Oh,
But
boy.
every 5 minutes there's somebody yelling and screaming in Greek. What's going on? What's going on? And you look over the balcony and there's, thousands of people protesting something.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, it's just part and parcel of what things are like in other countries. I mean, hey, we have protests here too. So it's not really that out of the ordinary to see stuff like that. And you just have to deal with it in that it's most likely it's going to be peaceful. Like 9 times out of 10, it's peaceful. And if it does worry you, just stay away, right? Stay away from it when it's happening.
Well, and people mention the political instability and all this stuff. However, I feel like things are misreported in the media because I was
Mm,
getting different information over in Europe
right.
than here, and what I was seeing was concerning. But, for example, this doesn't have to do with current, but like last year when there was a trash problem in Paris, it was being reported over here like it was a huge thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, I saw some piles of trash. But guess what? I was also there when all of a sudden the trash, they had contracted with private companies to go get the trash, and all of a sudden it was just over.
Yeah,
And so
that's
I
right.
just thought, well, this was greatly over exaggerated in the media. So you can't always trust what's in the media.
Yeah. Well, hey, I don't trust anything in the media typically
Yeah.
at all.
So I think that's part of it too,
Yeah.
that, oh, you're going to have so much trouble. And then there's all these fear-based stories. So I think in a way it's enough to keep people from actually living their lives fully.
Well, what do you think is the best way of getting over that? Is it just to go? Or is there something you can do to sort of inoculate yourself against that, like get yourself thinking more along the lines of it's something I can do even at my age.
Okay. I found this quote. I want to read you from Hunter Thompson.
Hmm.
It says, life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well preserved body, but rather to skid broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. And
I
I
love
think
that. That's
what
exactly how life should be.
that's what I think. And it's like, I think you have to have the mindset, I'm going to go. I'm not going to have preconceived ideas. Of course, you're going to, but you're going to try and get through those and be open. And I think that's probably like the hardest thing because here's what I see as people age and say at my age, oh, I can't do that. I mean, there's already some things like I thought I was going to be able to ride a bicycle in Paris, but It's too crazy.
Mm.
I don't think
But you
I
tried.
should.
Did you try?
I didn't because I love walking. And as I observed people riding their bikes with no helmets and all of this stuff, I was like, I don't think I know enough about the traffic deal here to do this. And so I didn't. I'm sticking with my walking. I mean, I think it's cool. I'm walking 9 miles a day. I mean, that's fine.
See, I
I'm
would have done
having
the
a good.
opposite because I would have seen people riding, and I would have said, "Oh, that looks easy." The more people I see riding, the more likely I want to do it. Because I had this same issue with bungee jumping.
Okay.
They had a bungee jumping thing at the Canadian National Exhibition one year, and as I stood there watching people repeatedly bungee jump, I eventually got to the point to my thinking to myself, "Hey, I could do that." So I
Yeah.
went into the line to sign up to do it. And of course, it ended up being like $105 with a waiver. And I said, okay, that's too expensive.
Yeah.
But the more I saw somebody doing it, the more I thought to myself, well, you know what? I could do that too. Because, it was very safe and everything. And I think it's the same thing with any kind of observation. It's like you watch other people doing it, and the more you see other people doing it, the more you're like, wait a minute, I can do that too.
Yeah.
I can partake as well.
I think that helps.
Yeah.
I think it helps a lot. But on the other hand, here's what I see people saying a lot. Oh, I would love to travel, but I have to go with someone. I can't go on the plane by myself. I'm afraid of flying. Like there's so
Oh
many
my God.
excuses.
So many people say that. It's amazing.
So many. And so I'm
Especially
like,
those people who are slightly over 50.
yeah. And so I'm thinking, okay, here's what I'm hearing. Excuses, excuses, excuses. Because, oh, here's the thing I gotta say. As a solo traveler, because I'm not in a partnership right now, I get asked all the time. Like, I mean, I've been
Asked
doing,
what, I wonder.
well, okay, I'll clarify. I get asked to travel with people I don't know all the time. And
What,
it's like
when you're traveling, as you're traveling, or before
traveling,
you're
not
traveling?
traveling on social media, like in
Oh,
any
because
kind.
you're traveling, people are going, "Hey, can I come with you?" Is
Yeah,
that what they? Okay,
even if I don't know them.
right,
And so the reason I'm clarifying this is because just because someone is traveling by themselves doesn't mean they want to travel with someone they don't know. So you
right.
you wouldn't have this problem because you're married. And so married people are seen as, that's a unit. Like I
Yeah,
was never asked this when I was married for 20 years. No one ever said, "Oh, can I go to Hawaii with your family?" And so I think it's
that
kind
would
of
be
weird.
awkward.
Well, and it's still awkward to me now to have people that don't know me go, "Oh, I would love to go with you." It's like,
People
number
actually
one,
say that. People actually
people,
say, "I would
yeah,
love to go with you."
a lot of, and so I have to
That's
gently refer them
odd.
to my retreats but a lot of people think I could just like plan a whole trip with them, pay my own expenses.
Wow,
This happens over and over again.
that is bizarre.
I know. I think it's bizarre
Why are
too.
people so presumptuous that they think that because you're traveling solo,
Yeah.
they think, oh, you must want somebody to go with you.
Yeah. It's for 19 years I've been
What a
sitting by the phone
presumption.
waiting for them to call. And I don't even know them. Like, here's what I hear. They say, "Oh, it's much safer to go with someone." Really? I've been all over India in 6 countries in Asia, and I didn't need you to go with me. Like, did you read anything I've written? Like, I'm so surprised that it is very presumptuous. But here's what I'm trying to kind of figure out in my own head. I think it's because they're coming from a fear place.
Yes.
They don't even know what it's like and how empowering and fun and what a blast it is to travel by yourself and just
Yeah.
feel like I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to stay in this hotel in this neighborhood. I'm going to do this today. Like they never experienced that. So they think you're at their level.
Yeah.
And so I think there's misconceptions about just doing things that are
Yeah.
exciting, like travel by
Yeah.
yourself. It could be anything.
Like bungee jumping.
Yeah, like bungee jumping. It could
No,
be
it's
that.
but I think the people who have to have a travel partner, they're not really experiencing the travel because when you're tied to this other person, you always have to make compromises, right? It's
Right,
different when you're married because obviously you're supposed to act like as a unit, and we're not
right.
talking about intramarital strife. We're not going to talk about that, but but when you talk about just two people, even ones who know each other, there's always that 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 stress between like this is what I want to do and this is what you want to do, and you've got to make compromises for each other, and this is living without that compromise, right? You don't have to compromise. You can just do what you want to do, and it's not that insane to think about that.
I just love it. It's so
Mm,
much fun for me because I don't think I would have ended up in this neighborhood in Paris. Well, I mean, there's so many things, but just it was so much fun
mm.
to not
So you didn't
feel.
even speak French, or
I
how's
don't.
your
Oh,
French?
my French is very bad.
Okay.
However, I do try, but this is what I found out about Paris this time. The last two times I've been, there's so many people that when they hear your bad French, they very kindly say you can speak English because they know it. And, this whole myth about people not wanting to speak English is wrong, wrong, wrong.
Yeah.
I met so many nice people that speak very good English and just don't practice it enough because they don't know English speaking people. So I would meet people like that on this particular day where I was running into not as many tourists, but
Is it because
French
you were
people that,
in, is it because you were in a less touristy area? Is that maybe
yeah,
why?
I was in the 12th arrondissement.
Oh, that's pretty far away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I actually love it because there's this market and all these more local restaurants
Oh,
with like
nice.
prices that are half the price of what I was
Oh my
paying
God,
in
that's
like
amazing. How did you find
yeah.
out about this place?
Yeah,
Like, how did
you
you know?
well, it was based on the fact that this is what I learned from my friend Anna in Florence. She taught me to stay near train stations, and you think, oh, they're going to be really crappy because it's near train station. No, not in Europe,
Hmm.
not really. So lately, whenever I rent a hotel room, it's walkable to the train station. I'm going to have to get on and up. So that's how I found the hotel. Then once I landed, I always do a walk around, and then I started walking around, going, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't even have to leave my neighborhood because I have my farmers market here. Then on another day, it turned into an antique market, and then one night it was my last night. I'm like, I don't feel like French food. I just want to look at all these different restaurants, and I was shocked at the prices. Like some of them were less than California,
Wow.
and
That's
like
amazing.
I went to a Vietnamese restaurant. And it was excellent, €5 for a glass of wine.
Oh
Like,
yeah, and I think French and Vietnamese they have an arrangement, right? I mean,
well, France
Vietnamese
tried,
restaurant.
yeah, they tried to come in and take over in Vietnam. So I think they've been influenced, but not as much as France might think,
Right.
to tell you the truth.
Because I know
And-
going to a Vietnamese restaurant here, sometimes they have all this French inspired food, and I thought, oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. There's
yeah,
some kind of camaraderie going on there, good or
yeah.
bad.
Well, they tried to take over.
Oh, yeah.
And
As
that's
most
what,
of Europe did.
yeah, as most of Europe did. Oh, and then the first night I found this tiny little Chinese place, and they
Nice.
happened to have sushi.
Whoa.
And for
You risked it.
12 euros, I got some good sushi, fresh
Oh, it was
and
decent sushi? That's
sashimi.
good.
This is in Paris. And then I went to this very local bar, and they had like €4, 3 and 4 euro glasses of wine, and it was full of local people.
Yeah. Now,
And so it was such a great experience.
so let me ask you something. So
Yeah.
do you ever think of your free traveling self when you're doing this stuff and going, how did I go from that to this?
Well, yes, I do. And when we were talking about going to Nepal for the first time and being shocked that I could pay, first of all, paying $25 a night for a room, and then find out that the share bathroom room in a better part of the the former palace that now is all renovated where the Beatles stayed.
Nice.
All of those for less money. It was like, I swear, I think it was $8, 8 or 12, something
Wow.
like that. And so that turned me on to the whole, like, I didn't know this was going on in the world. Like, I had no idea you could go to Asia and actually have a really good experience for much lower cost than I was paying $500 and $600 a night
Mm.
for a hotel. Like, I just
Even
didn't
back
even know.
then, it was expensive.
Yeah, even back then. Oh, I just recently, well, I guess it was about a year ago. I went on the Big Sur coast all the way,
Hmm.
and I stopped at the Post Ranch. We had stayed there when they first opened, and the price was 500 a night. Now, this is like 20 years ago.
Right.
Guess what it is now? 2,500 a
Oh
night for
my
the
God.
same thing that we had rented. Now 500 is a lot, but you got like this beautiful
Well,
view of
520 years ago is a lot. 500 now
I
is.
know it was a lot. So I'm coming from that to going, what? You can have a share bathroom and no one was ever in the bathroom. I think I saw somebody once in there and it was huge.
But what was it? What was the? Was there like a? Was there like a penultimate event that occurred that opened your eyes, like from the Mary from before to the Mary of Paris this year?
Oh, the Paris this year.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it's like
okay.
you're just like you're sitting in this cafe. I'm assuming you were sitting in a cafe or something, a boulangerie or whatever,
Yeah.
and you were having your meal, and you did you ever think to yourself like 20, 25 years ago, where would I like I could never imagine myself being here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a different question because
Sorry.
now I'm thinking, see, for a while I was thinking I can only afford Asia, South America, Central America. I didn't even think I could afford going to Europe.
Oh
So
yeah,
the
because
the
everyone thinks that Europe is so expensive.
and it is when you go in the summer.
Right.
The price is double.
Mm.
So the thing that kind of flipped me over about Europe in particular is the price again, figuring out that you have to choose a time that's going to be low cost, and that could mean the winter. And then the other piece of it is you were getting the viewpoint of more less tourists, more locals.
Hmm.
So you had that advantage. And then the other advantage that hit me the first time I had gone to Europe, I didn't do any cooking. And then the second time, I'm like, oh, I spent a lot of money on restaurants. Maybe I better see if I could use a kitchen. This was a big eye opener. I was so shocked at the produce was like half what we pay. So that was
Wow.
another big realization.
Right. But again, that was probably because you were in the 12th of those month as opposed to the first.
No, actually,
Oh,
so
really?
like the first time I cooked, I was in Rome and
Hmm.
I'd rented an apartment and it was in the very tourist section and I went to pay. It was in one of those skinny 10-foot wide groceries like near Piazza Navona, which is that's
Oh,
like
I
one of
love
the
those kind of places. Those are great.
yeah. Yeah, and so I'm in there and I'm thinking, "Oh, this is going to be expensive." I got wine and cheese and pesto. No, it was like half what I thought it was going to be. And I thought,
Wow.
this is amazing. So that was a big eye opener because I thought, okay, that's what I need to do now. Go to the grocery stores, do my own cooking. And I didn't actually go out that much. I would go out with friends, but I wouldn't go out just to go out because I actually enjoy going to the market every day and getting
Mm.
the amazing tomatoes and the beautiful lettuce. And I love it. And
And but you're also a gourmet chef too, right? So that's why for you it's easy, right? For other people who don't do a lot of cooking. Am I
But you
wrong?
know what? There's a lot of options for people that don't do a lot of cooking too. There's a lot of
Mm.
kind of street food play. Like you could get arancini for a couple of bucks.
Oh, arancini is amazing. I love that stuff. I could
Yeah.
live on it. I'm
Yeah.
sure it
And
doesn't have all the food groups covered, but
I think people do live on it. And then there's plenty of places like just like finding that neighborhood where you could actually get a glass of wine for €5 pretty much anywhere.
hmm
And I was seeing people out after 9 o'clock on a school night, laughing it up, having a good time, smoking outside. Like,
That's Europe.
I'm not talking about every other, like, there were tons of people.
Kids too.
Yeah,
That's the thing that
kids
drives
too.
me
Yeah,
running
everybody
around
was
at
out.
10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, 10 o'clock at night. And I thought, this is what we need in the United States.
Absolutely. Or we just have to go there. It's
Well,
already there.
yeah, it's already
Well,
there.
here
I
every
mean,
coffee shop closes at what, 2 o'clock in the afternoon? It's ridiculous. They just roll up the streets.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, it's
that's
awful.
right. It's awful.
But so if somebody was, so we've got people who are watching who are thinking this is like at my we let's start with at my age again. It's like how do you get past the at my age thing? You just have to do it, or you have to just have a mindset twist, or
I think you have to take baby steps
hmm
and don't bite off too much. Just say, okay, I'm going to, in my own hometown, go out to dinner by myself or go away for the weekend. Make one step that's scary to you that, rather than, oh, I'm going to go to India for 6 months. Don't do that
so
for your
don't start with the India for 6 months.
don't.
Start with
I've spent a lot of
I'm
time
going
in
to drive to
India.
Hollister and have a drive-through. No,
Whatever it is that would be really scary for you. That's what I say
yeah. What
to
do you?
people.
But you didn't start. You didn't start with that. You started with a big jump. But
I did start with
you
big
would
jumps.
recommend that people don't do the big jump unless they feel like they're up for it.
You could, I mean, let me see. The first time I did something really, I went to this Maui Writers Conference where I actually got my first book contract. And, that was very high cost, but, thousands of dollars. But it had the fruition of I got a book contract. I mean, if I had not listened to it, I thought, oh, that's too much money to pay, because it was at this very fancy hotel. But I think if you make a step to do something sort of scary, a baby step,
Hmm.
and that's whatever it is that's scary for you. Like you were thinking the bungee jumping, I agree. I wouldn't want to pay $100 to have my spine out of whack.
But I noticed
Honestly,
they used
no.
two bungees on the heavy people, so that was
Oh,
like I felt better about that.
oh my God. Find out, a little bit about it. But it's a little bit like I had my son at home, so I had a home birth back when it wasn't done.
See,
But I
you were
did
really ahead of your time with all of these things. It's
with a
amazing.
lot of, yeah. I mean, I gotta say, I am. And I got a lot of flack from people. And it's the kind of the same thing. It's like you can think it's going to be a certain way, but even if you went to the hospital and ended up having a C-section and you really didn't need to, you go into something scary going, oh, this is going to be this way, but it's not going to be the way that you think it's going to be.
Right.
So you
But
have to just, I mean, we're right 5 minutes from Stanford, like nothing went wrong. It
yeah,
seemed to take forever, but I had a
yeah,
midwife and she was wonderful.
yeah.
Um, but it's like you have to make a decision to do something that you want to do. You have a desire to do it,
Right.
but it's really a baby step kind of thing. You have to take like one step towards it, and
And I,
then you see how the next
exactly.
steps.
And I think the other thing people have to be less sort of rigid in what they expect out of it. Just be really open-minded as to what you're going to get out of it. Because there's a lot of people who sort of like they're very planned, right? They said this has got to happen, this has got to happen, this has got to happen. And if it doesn't go exactly the way you want it to happen, then you're like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could ever happen.
Yeah,
But it doesn't work like that. The world doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. Things change all the time. So you have to be sort of open-minded to change because you could have been in a situation where, oh, well, now we have to go to the hospital. That's the way it is. But oh man, I really wanted to stay home, or I really wanted to experience this thing, or I really wanted to experience that thing. And it doesn't happen. So maybe you get to experience something else, which might even be better.
Well, that's the piece that I think you really only learn by going into the unknown and experiencing these wonderful things happening because you didn't have a preconceived idea. I mean,
Right.
I had no idea until I started doing it because like my son was traveling to unknown, like he didn't have a set itinerary and I was like, "How are you know, you need to call me out." Like I didn't understand. And then I started doing it
Yeah.
and found it to be so much fun. I mean, that first time I went all the way around the world, I was buying one-way tickets along the way. Like I had a blast. There
Oh,
was
that must
so
have been
much.
amazing.
It
And
was so fun.
so I like that. I like the idea. So if you're in Europe for the winter, where do you go for the summer? So that's a quiet season. Do you go to South America? Do you go to the southern? Do you
Oh,
go to the
for the
south side of
summer.
the?
Well, okay, here's the thing. What I've been doing is working back in California, but here's what I would suggest. There are a lot of places you could go for the summer. You could go, and I don't know about the weather, but this time that I went back, anytime in the summer in Europe is going to be, higher costs, more people, crowds, stuff like that. So you have to kind of ask yourself, what is it? Maybe in the summer, it's going to be a little bit harder to find something that's going to fit with you just weather wise, but not
Right.
price wise. Because, you could go to Asia or Argentina or,
Well, would you go to the south? You go to the southern, well, bottom of the globe as opposed to the top of the globe because they're experiencing winter.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
if they're
that's,
experiencing, so would you go say Europe? You would do Europe in the winter, and then you do say South America in the summertime?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good strategy.
So Argentina, Colombia, all the places that we talked about a couple of shows
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
the idea
be,
is to try and keep going to places in the off season if you're going bouncing from place to place, because once it starts getting expensive in Europe, you want to leave Europe and go somewhere else.
exactly. And there's plenty of options.
Yeah.
You can go to islands that are like I just started hearing about Mauritius and Africa.
I've always wanted to go to Mauritius,
It
believe
sounds
it or not.
real. Yeah, it sounds great. And I looked at pictures and the cost isn't high. I mean, okay.
Really?
Well, I mean, I was looking at like lodging and there's always surprises, of course, but I mean, I spent a lot of time in different parts of Thailand, in the islands, in the mountains, in the big cities, everything. And so the prices change a little bit, but not a lot. So you kind of have to have if you're going and you want to spend less money, then you got to do more research to make
Hmm.
sure. But if your lodging is less, then you know that it's definitely affected by the off season.
Right. Okay, so I'm going off on tangents now, but let's go back to
Yeah.
where you were talking about. So if you're a solo traveler or at my age travelers who's like a little bit worried about it, take the small like do the small trips, the things little things that get you scared, and then just keep increasing that. Is that sort of it? Like, you're worried about driving to Hollister, drive to Hollister. You're worried about driving to Paso Robles, go a little further, and then just keep on testing your boundaries. Is that
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay, here's what I would say though. If you really don't like driving and you don't, because after not driving for 3 months and then coming back, like back into my body, I felt like I was in another out of body experience. And then now I'm
so an
back. I'm like,
amazing
oh,
out of body experience, and now you're back to the real world, and you're like, this
yeah,
is horrible.
it's shocking. Oh my God, I'm still in,
It's like you were in the Matrix, and now you're back in reality.
oh my God. So I would say there's so many places you don't have to rent a car. So
Mm,
if that's something that really bothers you, I think you should not do it.
right.
And and people sometimes don't believe me that it's really easy to go. Even in Southeast Asia, you can get around on buses and trains and flights are low cost. I mean, there's so many more options for you than what we have at better prices.
I think it's an American thing, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
cars, you need a car to get everywhere is American
everywhere.
thing. But if you go anywhere else in the world, it's easier to get around on public transit.
Yeah,
Yeah, anywhere else. It's just
yeah.
us.
It's just so if you can get yourself out of that whole mindset of the USA, try going somewhere where you have to just take the trains. I mean, you're just going to have to believe that it's going to be okay.
Mm,
Every train I've ever been on in any country, even India, they have different classes,
yeah.
but it hasn't been that, oh, I wish I hadn't taken this. Like, never. I never thought that. I mean, I've been on countless trains,
Yeah.
and it's such a cool way to travel.
Yeah, but I mean, the first time you went, you were a little concerned though, right? I'm assuming. And then as you got used to it, it got better and
Well, the
better.
first time I went in India, I was with my son, so I wasn't concerned. I was sort of like, why? He was suggesting like a really like basic class of travel. I'm like, I don't think we need to do that, but we did.
Hmm.
It was like super cheap. And
Yeah,
now
and now, yeah,
I'm
now
glad
you're
I wouldn't do it now. No, of course. But it was good for me to do because
so
I
you
saw
weren't riding on the top of the train. You weren't riding on the top.
I have ridden on the top of a bus in Nepal based on the
Did
fact
you
that
have
it
to hold
was,
on for dear life as he was going around
yes.
curves?
And there was even a rope. This was going into the mountains, and there was a rope that you held onto so you wouldn't fall
See,
off.
people who are listening are like, "Oh my God, I'm appalled. I would never do that." But I'm like, "Yeah, baby, I
Yeah,
want to do that. That sounds like fun."
it was. We were celebrating the new year going into 2006. Man, did, it was so much
That
fun
sounds
driving
like a
up in
complete blast. I want to
it
do
was a
that so
blast.
bad.
Yeah, yeah, it was a blast.
It's
See,
like,
this
"Sir,
is my
sir, you
favorite.
here's a seat for you." No, no, no. I want to be on the road.
Well, there was no seat inside. And so he was saying, oh, we can go up to the roof. I'm
No,
like,
so they see a big
what?
white guy and they go, "Oh, he probably doesn't want to go on the roof." And I'm like,
There
"No, no,
was
no. I
no
want to go on the roof."
there was no white guys except us on that bus. I can assure you. See, that's what was so great about being with him. Well, besides the fact that we had a blast, was that, we were the only tourists on that entire bus.
Hmm.
And he knew it was okay to be on the roof. I didn't. I mean, we're like going on these mountain roads. I mean, we could have fallen off. I mean,
So
with
it's
the
helpful to have a guide to
tires.
start with. It's helpful to have a guide to start with, but then after that, it's like, you can do it yourself. W-
Well, you could do it yourself in Europe.
Mm.
I mean, there are places in Asia that I wouldn't recommend going by yourself, but and maybe having a guide. But, on the other hand, some of these guides,
Yeah, I know, I know. There was a guy in Italy who was like, he was just going on and on and on about these tiny little details of Roman history, and I'm like, okay, you're like an hour later than we were supposed to end the tour, and he just kept going on and on. And anyway,
this happened to me and Anna. We
oh
stopped
yeah,
at, yeah, just at this late. We
you just
stopped
had to
at,
leave.
no, she loves it because she's a history professor. And I'm like, I'm going to kill myself now. I can't stay. The guy didn't stop.
I know.
He
Maybe we
did.
had the same tour guide. Was he
Yeah.
in Rome?
Yeah. Well, no, this was in a tiny town in Sicily. And
Okay.
I was just like, I can't even stand up anymore. So I went and I sat on the steps of the church. And he's like, Signora, you're like, come with us. And I'm like, yeah, just no. I'm sitting here breathing.
It wasn't like the Spanish Steps where you can't sit down, right? They let you sit.
At least, yeah, at least I get to sit down because he was taking us into this moldy back room with this stuff like that no one had opened a window in 2 centuries. I'm like,
It's
no,
history, history, historia.
yeah, this history is giving me a headache. I'm going outside. There's even a picture she took of me when I realized how moldy it was in there, and it's so funny. The look on my face is horror.
But you would never not do that again because it was fun, right? It was a lot of fun.
Well, I
Up to that
have
point.
this understanding, her and I. She likes to go to the churches. I don't want to go in them. I want to go to the beach. We're total opposites, but we can work on
That's the
doing
compromise. That's
something.
you're traveling with somebody, but you weren't traveling with her for long, right? You did that for a
Ju-
bit, and then you went off
Just
and
a
did your own
couple
thing.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because see, she's doing things really fast. Like she came down from Florence for like, a 3-day fun thing in Sicily to see me do
Yeah,
some
so
stuff
for
in
her it was
Sicily.
vacation, but for
Yeah.
you it was your life.
I mean, I ended up walking 15,000 steps and I couldn't do it a third day.
Wow.
It's like, no, you go ahead.
See
And
how
she,
much more healthy you are now because you were in your health is going to start to decline now that you're back, all right?
I hope
I can
not. I
feel it.
mean, honestly, I'm trying to be very aware of that.
Yeah. But of course, there, your 15,000 steps would take you through a beautiful picturesque town, shops, people, amazingness. Here, it takes you like to the Target at the corner.
You know, so like the day I walked to Père Lachaise Cemetery to see Jim Morrison's grave, that
Nice.
was a really fun walk. I mean, just the walk itself, like you're saying, like that was so nice. And then the cemetery is amazing. I didn't know how many um Colette, Oscar Wilde.
Oh, that's a very famous cemetery. It's
I think
amazing.
it's the most famous in the world. Have you
Yeah,
been to it?
I have not, but I hear so much about it.
It's
That's going to be my next trip.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And it's also very leafy, lots of trees. Actually, I just read recently that it's the biggest amount of trees and foliage in all of Paris.
Wow.
So
Wow.
even
I
if
got to
you
see that.
just, yeah, even if you weren't interested in all the amazing tombs, you've got these gorgeous trees, and it was incredible.
Fantastic. And that was right off the subway line, easy to get to.
There is a subway line, but I walked. It was a beautiful day. You could have taken the subway, but I didn't do the subway in
It's
my
so
two
easy to walk in
days.
Paris too.
Yeah,
So easy.
yeah. And so I'm glad I did because now I know because I didn't see half of everything. You could spend 2 full days in that cemetery and still not see everything. And then I
Wow.
saw this woman sitting on a tomb on her phone. I thought, I'm going to do that. Because it's very peaceful. Like it's not overrun with tourists.
Right.
Yes, there's still a lot of people, but not so many that it ruins it.
Mm, very nice. Amazing.
So
So
I would go ahead.
no, no, no. Please
Well,
continue.
what I was going to say was to take a baby step, like something like that. If you were afraid to do like an overnight, I would say go somewhere around where you live. Don't even do an overnight and
Mm,
just plan a whole day of taking yourself out to dinner, going to somewhere you've really wanted to go, but you've always said, oh, but I need to have someone to go with me, or just whatever excuse you have. Just do something that feels a little dangerous, but you know that it sounds like it's also going to be fun. Like take
mm.
that step, and it could be just a baby step, and then you're going to have so much fun. It's like an artist date in the Julia Cameron book, The Artist's Way. That's
Funnily
what
enough,
she
I'm
would.
reading that book right now.
Oh my God, really? I've read that book like 4 times, and I love that she would call it an artist date because that's what it is. Like take yourself somewhere and do something really different.
Yeah, yeah, and observe everything around you. Talk to the people that are near you. It's amazing. It's a great idea.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
everyone needs to take an artist date.
Everybody.
Hmm.
And so for me, going to the cemetery was an artist day. And, I got to Jim Morrison's gravesite and there was a nice guy standing next to me. And we just had like a moment of connection
Nice.
because we were both like, why does there have to be a fence here for people to not get close to the grave? And then as soon as we were talking about it, a younger woman, they're like, "Oh, jump over the fence," and he goes to me, and that's why there's a fence. And we both laughed about it. I'll never see him again, but it was like this moment that I was so happy he was in that moment with me.
Yeah, and experiencing that moment. I especially love seeing signs that say, "Don't do this," because somebody tried to do this.
And
Exactly what
how
this,
what
and it's the most
how do
bizarre, obscure, weird thing. It's like, really? You have to warn me about that? Oh yeah, I
yeah
guess somebody tried doing it.
yeah, and how did all the cool stuff on Jim Morrison's grave get there? Somebody had to jump over the fence.
That's right. Or it
There's
was maybe they put it
flowers.
there before the fence. Or
Well,
there's flowers.
Yeah, flowers, pictures, a bottle of whiskey. I mean, I thought it was really it's like I'm so glad I did it. It was just really fun and
Yeah.
it was deep and it was artistic and it was beautiful and on a beautiful day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you would never have done it if you were just sitting in your apartment in Palo Alto. It's
Never.
yeah. Yeah. And you like your life experience just exploded. It was great. I
Well,
love it.
see, this is the thing that I think people got to keep on their hearts that if you stay home and you don't do this stuff, you're never going to meet the people that you're going to meet if you go like, and I'm not even talking about like just talking to the different farmers and vendors at the market. They were fun.
Mm.
Just to have these little conversations with people in a different world is really interesting and intriguing. You're not going to have that where you live at that level because they're not coming to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You can still talk to people in your neighborhood.
Hmm.
And you should because it kind of gets you ready to go outside and talk. But I actually find that people are more open in different cultures to just talking to people a lot of times. Like I know a lot of people, I'm from upstate New York where I was born. A lot of people like say New York City is just, oh, people are so harsh and everything. I'm like, not really. People just say whatever they think. Like you can start talking to somebody and they always talk back.
Absolutely.
Like that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
like
that
being with
happens
my
everywhere.
relatives.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere. You're right. I mean, this is also something you can do to try because if you're
Yeah.
typically quiet and you're reserved, just start talking to people whenever you are. Like
Yeah.
even you were just buying something from Target at the corner, talk to the cashier, talk to the people who are there, whatever. Just like open yourself up. You know, people are interesting. I think people are super interesting no matter where they are. And I think they're more interesting in other places, mind you, but that's only because, you know, we're used to where we are.
But if you actually talk to somebody, like, okay, speaking of Target, last Thanksgiving I was in Target and I just started talking to one of the employees. She had gotten there at 2 o'clock in the morning, has a kid. That's when she
Wow.
started, 2 o'clock in the morning to stock shelves. And I'm like,
Yikes.
I did a video saying don't complain about anything at Target over the holidays, please, people, because this woman is leaving her kid and coming at 2 in the morning. And it just gave me a different perspective. It's like this is what this person is doing, so we can walk into Target and get our gewgaws. And you know, it's just
Everybody's life is fascinating. It's
yeah.
just we just don't know anything about it. We have no clue
We
till
have
we talk to them, till we ask
no
them.
clue. We don't
Yeah,
know what's going on.
yeah, yeah.
I
We
don't
don't have
even know.
telepathy yet. Once we get telepathy, that's different. It's a new story.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think we have it sometimes, but we don't. And we don't have it all the way.
Exactly. So we got to wrap up, but
Okay.
any final thoughts on the At My Age or flying solo, which we will talk about again because there's so much to talk about there.
Okay. Well, the last thing I would say is don't come up with reasons or excuses for not doing something based on your age and based on that you're going to do something alone because doing something alone can turn out to be so much fun
Mm,
that you're going to be completely amazed. That's a very real possibility.
being completely amazed.
Being completely amazed by doing something that you're a little afraid to do, like going somewhere alone. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people talk about dining alone. That's never been a problem for me, but actually, it can be really fun to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think you gotta like you don't realize it until you started doing it. And like you said, baby steps until you get to the point where, you're talking to some random guy on a bus in Nepal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're having a conversation, or, even if it's just for a minute, it could change your whole life.
Exactly. Every moment could be something leading to something amazing.
That's right.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you next week or next
All
time.
righty.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive, I thrive. Oh, I thrive, I thrive.